Okay, everyone, if we could start with a moment of silence for our past member, Larry Pelt from Pelham Fire Station number 1. All right, thank you. Almighty and everlasting God, our Heavenly Father, we humbly beseech Thee to bless the members of this association to the end that they may be true to its high ideals and noble principles, and thereby bring honor and glory to Thy holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Dylan. We'll call on Isabel to introduce our education for tonight.
Okay, for sure. So, Chief Ed Melanson is Fire Chief CEMC of Fort Erie and Emergency Services, as well as being Deputy Fire Coordinator for the Niagara Region and Chair of the Niagara Region Fire Chiefs Association and Co-Chair of the Niagara Regional CNRNE Response Committee, member of the Provincial Fire Service Mutual Aid Steering Committee, and on the Provincial Advisory Committees for Incident Safety, Officer of Hazardous Materials Response. It's quite a list. My education, so his education credentials include Certificate of Fire Service Administration from Dalhousie University, NFPA 1021 Fire Officer 4, and Executive Diploma in Municipal Management. So without further ado, I will just turn it over to Chief Melanson.
Hi, Isabel. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I wish we were in person. I certainly like meeting in person much better. I'm in here. Chief Bob Limburner asked me to step in. He was unable to attend. So you have to put up with me tonight. The presentation is on the mutual aid. The slides generally come from the province, so but I'll let you know how it works within the Niagara region also, and mutual aid may be different now than what you may have been previously used to. So I'll share my slides now. Everybody can see these?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So again, this is from the Office of the Fire Marshal. It's their slide deck. And we'll talk a little bit about the mutual aid plan. And then from there, I'll interject on what's going on in the Niagara region and how it works for us. So the mutual aid comes out of field and advisory services. So the fire marshal, the deputy fire marshal, assistant deputy fire marshals. And then these are the units below, South unit, Northeast unit, Northwest unit, and the development unit. And then the mutual aid program oversight is done out of the Northeast unit. I'm going to move, all I can see is a line here. I'm going to put that to the bottom so I can see there. Mutual aid is generally a provision of assistance between groups of people of organizations. It's the long and the short of it is, and we speak to this all the time when we're in meetings of regional chiefs, et cetera, is that the concept is that neighbors are going to help neighbors, and if they need help, we're going to come. And it's this has been going on for centuries. The mutual aid plan has been in place in Ontario since the 1960s.
I don't think we've experienced anything like we've experienced in the last 2 years as a society in dealing with the stresses that the pandemic has brought for everyone. Certainly, we are, as you all know, in the midst of a mental health crisis.
There. I'm unmuted now, Crispin. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yep. So the principles of the mutual aid plan in Ontario is to promote, ensure adequate and coordinated efforts to minimize loss of human life and property. This is the definition of it, but the long and the short of it is, like I spoke to, it's fire departments helping fire departments and municipalities helping municipalities. In the past, the mutual aid program used to be that you would help neighboring municipalities and you didn't generally leapfrog. That's changed in recent years where any municipality can help any municipality if requested. And it doesn't even have to be within a region. It can be municipal, province-wide, and I'll show you why that is the case. But it also used to be that you had to have a like resource to be able to ask for mutual aid. So the intent is that if you had a tanker or two and you needed more help with tankers, you would ask the neighboring municipality for a tanker. If you didn't have any tankers and asked the municipality neighboring for a tanker, you weren't allowed to do that. That's got changed. Now you can ask for any resource from any municipality. I'm not saying they're obligated because they're not, but they certainly can send anything. Therefore, a municipality can send an aerial to a municipality that's 4 municipalities over that doesn't have an aerial, and that's okay. That it's fine within the mutual aid program, which makes sense. Now you can sort of trade 2 chickens for a goat. So the reason for the mutual aid program in Ontario and the structure is to have an organized framework that makes the mutual aid program work. It also helps provide authority and general direction to fire coordinators for the coordination of the mutual aid program and whatever else is going on with other protection services that are county, district, region, provincial. Again, it doesn't matter. Even internationally. So if you're a border community like Fort Erie is, we can mutual aid with our partners on the other side of the border, and we do quite often, for example, boat calls. And to provide advice and direction for the activation of mutual aid assistance. And the last principle, to ensure all participants and non-municipal participants adhere to the roles and responsibilities within the mutual aid plan. And it provides the roles and responsibilities of the fire coordinators who are appointed by the fire marshal or their designate, as well as for OFM staff. In Niagara region, there is a Bob Limburner from Pelham, the chief there, is the fire coordinator. And there's 3 deputy or alternate fire coordinators. There's myself. There is Nick Ruler from Niagara on the Lake, and there's Joe Zambito from Niagara Falls, all chiefs. We run a rotational business, or a rotational system. So this month, I'll just check here to make sure. Bob Limburner is the primary on-call fire coordinator, and Nick Ruler is the alternate. Next month, which is coming quickly, I am the principal fire coordinator, and Joe Zambito is the alternate. So there's always someone on call in case the fire coordinator is required. The other principle, the reason for the mutual aid plan is to provide other emergency management agencies with an understanding of the fire coordinator's role within the mutual aid program. So this speaks to that we have training all the time and have the ability to be trained all the time in the fire coordinator's role. And there's authority in the FPPA and Section 7 that's how a fire coordinator is put in place. the fire marshal may appoint fire coordinators for such areas as may be designated in the appointment. And this is, where it comes out of. Fire coordinator duties are listed under 7.2 of the FPPA. A fire coordinator shall, subject to the instructions of the fire marshal, establish and maintain a mutual aid plan under which the fire departments that serve the designated area and perform other such duties as assigned by the fire marshal. That's always in there. To become a fire marshal, or sorry, a fire coordinator or a deputy fire coordinator, in our case, you're nominated at the regional chief level, and then once you're nominated, there's some forms you have to fill out. You have to be approved by the your CAO of the municipality you work at. And then your credentials are sent to the Ontario Fire Marshal's office. And if approved, you then receive your credentials, which is a badge and a card, which allows you to be a fire coordinator. So that's the process in which we follow within the Niagara region and all the other municipalities throughout the province on how you would become a fire coordinator. The participants in the mutual aid program are responsible to ensure their bylaw or agreement or alternative acceptable authorization to establish and regulate their fire department, appoint a fire chief, authorize participation in the mutual aid plan, meet minimum conditions for participation, attend meetings that are called by the fire coordinator, and notify the fire coordinator of issues would include mapping and minimum conditions, and maintain confidentiality of the information you collect when you are the fire coordinator during the mutual aid plan. So a couple things that are in here that I might want to highlight. We have an agreement within the Niagara region of all the municipalities that all fire departments are part of the mutual aid plan, and all the municipalities have signed that mutual aid plan. Just for your information, there is also a mutual assistance plan, which has to do with each municipality and an agreement to help each other with anything in the event of a disaster. It could be bulldozers or generators or whatever, dump trucks or staff or whatever would be required from municipality to municipality. So there's a couple agreements in place between the municipalities and the region, and one of them is the mutual aid plan for fire departments, and one is a mutual aid mutual assistance program that the municipalities have for everything else outside of fire. So I'm not sure if you knew that or didn't know that. Sorry. So service delivery arrangements, fire departments in a designated area agree to assist each other in the event of emergency beyond day-to-day needs. So the mutual aid plan is used when a fire department requires help, whether it's manpower or equipment. Generally speaking, it's tankers. It's not limited to that. If you were to say that, out of 10 mutual aid activations, 8 out of 10 are going to be tanker assistance. In the fire marshal's eyes and in the fire coordinator's eyes, it is mutual aid if it's 2 plus you. So if Wayne Fleet asks for help from Port Colborne for a tanker, and that's all they need, there's no paperwork and no notification required for mutual aid. But if Wayne Fleet asks for help from Welland and Port Colborne, that would be 2 plus you or 2 plus them. That would be considered mutual aid. It's not restricted to a county or district or region. We can be, we ask, and I'll show you how it works, but we can ask for help from Ottawa or Toronto or other municipalities. And I'll show you why we would do that. and to provide or receive the assistance with no fees involved. So the agreement basically says that you call us, we'll come, we'll help you as much as we can. And we're not going to charge you for those services. There is a cost recovery in the agreement and all agreements, but it's generally not used. It would be under extraordinary circumstances where there would be fees involved for mutual aid. It may contain mutually agreed upon local mandatory components or conditions. Ours is pretty wide open. There's not really any conditions involved. It does not require local fire department use or commit all the resources. So there's times where we may be asked for help, but we had the fire that we had in Port Colborne, the vinyl fire, a couple of years ago. We helped out. We had a couple trucks in Port Colborne to backfill for them. And I know Wainfleet had trucks there to backfill for them. And they asked for more help, but I was up against it. We had trucks there all day. I was unable to put crews together and then take care of our municipality at the same time. So unfortunately, or out of necessity, I had to say, no, I can't help anymore. So just because you've been asked to help, you may not be able to commit to help, or you might not be able to commit more resources. You certainly aren't supposed to commit all your resources. And then, I'm sorry, I got to move the. And the incident commander on the scene, they're going to decide when they're going to require mutual aid. It's generally when the resources of the fire department that requires mutual aid have been overcome and they need more help. So that's generally when they're going to do that. So this is scenario one, and this speaks to that, you know, like I spoke, there can be community B requires 2 of their trucks to come to that, but community C requires 1 to head over out of mutual aid, but community A doesn't send anybody, and that's more than fine. It's not a, lots of times Port Colborne will say, can you send Fort Erie's tanker, or can you send manpower for us, or whatever. It doesn't mean that just because mutual aid is enacted that other municipalities are going to come. There's service delivery arrangements. Municipalities can enter into agreements. Municipalities can do all kinds of things. It's not really a handshake, and you guys are aware of these, but there are things like this where community A is much closer to communities B's certain areas, and they're going to ask for help. And or in this case, they have a very large industrial complex within community B, and they're going to ask for help. And these are automatic aid such setups. So there's a contract in place that says that if community, and I'll go back just to show you, if community B has a fire in an area, then community A automatically is going to have X number of resources toned out, and it's going to go to that. And community A will get paid based on the agreement for those. So there are lots of automatic aid agreements throughout the province. There's not a lot of automatic aid agreements within the Niagara region, but there are some. There is some out in the Lincoln, West Lincoln, Grimsby have some automatic aid in place. And I know that there's some discussion, if it isn't already in place, in Port Colborne and Wainfleet about some automatic aid. But it's to get the quickest station or the quickest response to the station that closest. And it might not necessarily mean that that's in your actual municipality. So if we're going to activate the mutual aid program, then you have to identify who you are, describe the nature of the incident, what is needed. Sorry. And the status of the response, who's been called, etc. So the requesting fire department or the incident commander has to reach out and call for help. Generally speaking, they're going to use the dispatch. So in this case, it's either St. Catharines, or in our case, it's Tilsonburg, but they're going to reach out and say that they need help from another municipality, mutual aid. The dispatcher then just sends out that equipment to them, but at the same time, the fire coordinators, all of us, get notification that there has been a mutual aid request and trucks are responding. So the requesting fire department, and you guys all know this, but give the location of the incident, what's the best route, any command or any designations, what radio frequency to talk to, or how are you going to communicate, whether it's common or talk groups, or you're going to hand someone a radio when they get there, etc. And then the first and subsequent help call, they're going to evaluate the abilities to respond considering local capacity. So this is really where the fire coordinator comes in. And believe it or not, the fire coordinators were employees on paper of the Niagara region. So we each have a P25 radio. We each have a system on our computers that we can called En route. It's a program that we can track all of the trucks, whose trucks are out, whose trucks are in. And if we need to, we not only do we offer help to the municipality that has asked for mutual aid, but we reach out to the other communities that have assisted to make sure that they have the resources they need in the event that they have an emergency. So the fire coordinator kind of keeps an eye on all of the trucks in the region and makes sure that not one municipality gets too overwhelmed or tapped. And if they do, there's lots of communication between the on-call fire coordinator, the chief of the station that has provided mutual aid, and the chief of the municipality that has requested mutual aid, just to make sure that we don't overwhelm all of the resources within the region. And this is what this talks about. And then if there's some forms that we have to fill out, of course, there's always forms that have to do with notifying the Ontario Fire Marshal's office when and what mutual aid is done. And this all these forms, etc., go through Bob Lindberner because he is the actual fire coordinator. So I talked about this a little bit. The fire coordinator arranges for backfill or standby for home and assisting fire departments as required. The fire coordinator is notified of the mutual aid activations. There's no boundaries within the province for mutual aid. And notify the POC, the Provincial Emergency Operations Center, for all significant events. This is the 2+U. That's what I was talking about. Once the incident is terminated, the incident commander will determine when assisting resources are no longer required. He will release the resources, and assisting fire departments will notify the fire coordinator when they're back in service. So this is why there doesn't have to be regional borders. The province has CBRNE response, HMRT and USAR, so urban search and rescue, and heavy. I'm sorry, I can't, this acronym doesn't make sense to me. It used to be HUSAR and USAR. So, but this is heavy search and rescue or tactical rescue. Also, they have EPRU, which is the police or OPP investigations and scene support team. And this slide shows the urban search and rescue team. So there's a heavy USAR team out of Toronto, a medium USAR team out of Ottawa, and 2 light USAR teams out of Thunder Bay. And then the hazardous material response team, Ottawa, Toronto, and Windsor are what are called a level 1 team, and North Bay, Thunder Bay, and Peterborough are level 2 teams. And we're allowed to contact PEOC for help. So this is where we get the references or resources for this, but the last mutual aid plan was 2018 to 2022. So we've already started discussions on the new Ontario mutual aid plan. I don't think it'll be much different than the old one, but the fire coordinator of each region, so Bob has already reached out to say that we need to review our mutual aid plan again because it has to be done annually. And that, my friends, is the mutual aid plan for the Niagara region. And if there's any questions you have, I'm certainly open to answering them.
If anyone would like to unmute yourself, you can ask a question.
It truly is no different than any of you that have been in the fire department for a long time, retired, not retired. You pick up the phone and ask for help, then people are going to come and help. This lays out that there is a whole bunch of legality to it, but the legality just protects everyone that asks for mutual aid. So it's pretty straightforward.
Chief,
Yep.
years ago, you used to have to, each bordering municipality had to actually have a apparatus to assist. Now you guys actually went over and basically throughout the region, anyone can actually help anyone?
Correct. We can leapfrog municipalities. So for example, about 3 years ago, we developed, there was a regional hazmat team, which every municipality was responsible on supplying technician level for hazmat response. And that didn't work the way that everyone had hoped it did. So what happened is that the municipalities of Port Colborne, Welland, Niagara Falls, and Fort Erie said that they were very committed to the hazardous material response in Niagara region. And we became the responders when it came to the team. We put that in the mutual aid plan. So now if St. Catharines, for example, requires help and asks for mutual aid from the CBRN team, they are going to get responders from the 4 municipalities that I just listed, plus EMS and NRP. So it doesn't even have to be equipment. It can be a team. It can be equipment. It doesn't have to be the same. And it doesn't have to be neighboring municipality. If Grimsby has a piece of equipment that Fort Erie needs, I can ask Grimsby directly to help me out and drive to Fort Erie to help us out. It's up to the chief to decide whether he's going to do that out of Grimsby. So, but it's up to Chief Hudson. But if he decides that he's good to go, then we would bring it to us. We've sent our aerial and a pump to St. Catharines out of Fort Erie to help with the Pioneer fire that they had. So you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be neighboring any longer.
What expenses actually from goes on to the municipality that's asking for it? Or does the region or all the municipalities kick in everything?
Each, for a mutual aid, generally speaking, all of the costs are picked up by the responding municipality. So if Niagara Falls asks Niagara on the Lake for help, then Niagara Falls is on the hook for their costs and Niagara on the hook for their costs. The only time there's a cost recovery would be if there was an extended amount of time where one department was there helping another. But generally speaking, if I send trucks to a different municipality, I know that I'm footing the bill for my trucks, my guys, my fuel, all of that stuff.
Thank you.
Yep. It's not the most exciting topic, really. Make sure you give Chief Limburner a hard time about this, all he is.
Don't worry, we will.
Okay, good.
Again, thanks amongst the Niagara District Association for a great topic and a great presentation, Chief. Thanks.
I always like hanging out with all of you.
Well, let's say that things are a lot different now than they were 50 years ago, as far as mutual aid was concerned.
We're very lucky in Niagara that we have a lot of, the chiefs all get along very, very well. It's a very good group of people, and truly we're there to help not only each other, but each municipality. So I'm not lying. If the phone gets picked up, then we'll be there to help, and we'll work out the details if there is any later. And that's exactly how it is. And it's a great group to be part of.
As far as help is concerned, in previous years, anybody that required help from the Dunville Fire Department got it right now, no questions asked.
I hope it's still the same way, because my daughter lives in Dunville, so you guys better take good care of her.
We won't hold that against you.
Well, thank you, Chief. You're welcome to stay for as long as you wish, or if you have other obligations, please tend to them. We'll now return to our general assembly.
Thanks, Crispin. Can we have the reading of last month's minutes by Chief McCauley?
September's meeting was called to order by President Jason Mouse at 7:10, which was a virtual meeting with the invocation being read by Don McCauley, Niagara Falls Station 6. With a moment of silence for a passing of one of our brothers, John Gillespie, Thorold number 1, 1968 to 1984. Readings of the minutes, June's meeting minutes were provided by Don McCauley, Niagara Falls 6 via email with no errors connected. A motion was accepted to accept the minutes made by Crispin Bottomley, Queenston, seconded by Donna Somerville, Niagara Falls 5, Willoughby. Communications. We received annual dues for the following fire departments: Lincoln, $75; Thorold, $300; Wainfleet, $75; Port Colborne, $75; Fort Erie, $300. Motion to accept the communications were made by Crispin Bottomley, seconded by Gilles Beauvais, 124. Accounts, nothing was brought forward. Treasurer's report, the balance was $8,926.07. Committee reports. Striking committee was given by Crispin Bottomley, Queenston. The purpose of the striking committee is to reflect on our past year and to better our organization in the coming year moving forward. Committee members for 2021 2022. Audit, Doug McIntyre, Jim Bradley, thorough number 2. Education, Isabel Beeland, Niagara Falls Station 4, Chippewa. Historical, Christopher Bottomley, Queenston. Public Relations, Christopher Bottomley, Queenston, assisting Mandy McIntyre, Alderman number 9. Trophies, Jim McKenney, Niagara Falls Station 6. Laws and Legislation, Mandy McIntyre, Alderman number 9. Competitions, Rob Timson, Alderman number 1, please. Nominating, Leanne Johnson, Waynfleet. Membership, Dennis Briggs Jr., Alderman number 9. Credentials, Corey Barkman, Niagara Falls Station 6. 100th Anniversary Committee, Crispin Bottomley, Queenston, and Mandy McIntyre, Alderman number 9. How to bring new members to the association. New award to be brought forward. 100th anniversary is coming fast. If interested, please forward your names, and if you have any ideas or suggestions that you would like to share, please pass along to Crispin and Mandy. Audit, Jim Bradley, Thorold number 2, Thorold South. All books are very neatly kept and in order. All accounts are mathematically inclined. Up to date, September 2021 should be. Great work again goes to Gillis Beauvais. Education, Isabel Beeland. Chippewa, absent. This is Isabel's contact information. Please pass along any training topics to isabel@gmail.com. Mobile 905-325-3520, and work is 905-228-2951. This was given by Crispin Bottomley. Laws and Legislation, no report. Membership, no report. Historical, Crispin Bottomley contributed the last year's AGM to our filing records. Public Relations, Crispin Bottomley, Queenston. We now have 452 Facebook followers, and through the past month, our Instagram accounts has 630 followers. The executive has granted the renewal of our Zoom account for 2021-2022. The invoice will be passed along to our treasurer. Trophies, Jim McKenney. Please have your trophies tagged and ready for the coming convention. Competition, no report. Convention, Don McCauley, Niagara Falls 6. This is still on the calendar for June 24th, 25, 2022, with hopes of us moving forward through these times. Education with the convention will be a live fire series with new addition to at the Niagara Falls Training Tower. We're looking for 24 to 30 students. Please contact myself at dmccauley@niagarafalls.ca to confirm. All students require all full PPEs, SCBA, and a spare bottle. Training to begin at 7:30 a.m. Saturday, June 25th, and running until 10:30, followed by 1 hour to clean up and place gear back into service. Parade games may be delayed. Nominating, no report. Chiefs, regional chiefs, Crispin will be passing on our website various safety themes. Remember, October is Fire Safety Month. Credentials. Life members, 15. Delegates, 4. Visitors, 2. Total attendance, 21. Halls represented, 6. Silver Helmet, Niagara Falls, 6. And the most delegates went to Thorold Station number 2. Unfinished, nothing outstanding. New business, Crispin brought forward items for the association for a member of a month. Recognize our participation at their respective stations in municipalities. Pass them to the executive. Education, Dan Ruley of Ontario Mine Rescue. Dan is from our small town, Southwest Ontario, Delaware, just east of London. Dan presented on how the rescue teams, 8 that are stretched across Ontario, which are made up of all volunteers. He talked about the specialized equipment that they have staged at various regions, which are available at any given time. He spoke about hazardous conditions that the teams encountered during the operations and education for the given tasks. Dan also went over a scenario that the teams had to perform, and an outcome was a rescue, not a recovery, as they thought it was to be. Education was thanked by Crispin Bottomley Queenston. Announcements: Niagara Falls 6 annual turkey raffle. Friday, November 19th is a virtual spin, all 5 series, and all tickets are out and ready for sale. Congrats went out to Corey Barkman and Mel Oatley on their engagement. Host company was thanked by Jason Ose, Wainfleet. Motion adjourned was made by Donna Somerville, Willoughby, seconded by Brian Wagtar, Lowbanks. Next meeting is tonight, a virtual meeting, and we're looking for a host, if possible, for November. Willoughby thought they were going to be, but they have training at the hall. They're going to be taking January's meeting. That's it. Okay.
Ears muted.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I make a motion, Donna Somerville Willoughby.
Seconder.
McCarthy,
Mike McKinney,
Alderman
Niagara
Nine.
Falls 6.
So we have a motion on the floor. Any errors or omissions? Having seen none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And we'll move on to communications.
Okay. You want to just say, you can say, Haltman, Haltman 5.
Alderman 5.
Haltman. Haltman 825.
Alderman 825. Sorry, the following departments paid their dues: Haldeman, Niagara Falls, and Welland. That's it. Okay. We get a motion to file.
Motion to file Crispin Bottomley Queenston.
I'll second it, Mike McKinney, Niagara Falls 6.
Thanks, Mike. All those in favor, Chief? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And moving on to accounts.
Nothing.
No report. Treasurer's report.
Our bank balance is $10,051.07.
Can you repeat that?
Can you repeat that, Gil?
Our balance is $10,051.07.
Perfect, thank you. This will be put on file for the audit committee.
Okay, committee reports. We'll go to education.
Moving on to committee reports, we'll go to education.
Here we go.
Okay, so, yep. So next month, I was contacted by Benji Trendle from Niagara Falls. So there'll be a presentation from their division next month. I don't have the details as of yet. And looking for ideas for January.
Question.
Great, thanks as well. I think Station 5 is training that night. So I don't know. I think they're moving to the January meeting.
Right, but if we do, oh, right, okay, so, yeah. So right now, I don't know until,
Okay.
yeah.
I called Benji. He will do January's meeting at our hall then.
Okay, so he'll do that
Great.
instead?
Yeah.
Because my communication with him today was, but I guess we didn't know about the training. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay, no problem. So I need some ideas for November.
Yeah.
Just tell him I said, I'm going to ask Joe Zambito to,
Donnie says he's going to ask Joe Zambito if he can do a presentation next month for us.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Laws and legislation.
No report.
No report. Okay. Membership.
Absent.
Absent. Historical.
No report for historical.
Okay. Public relations.
Thank you. As part of public relations, we see an Instagram growing, and you'll find that we are able to post our training videos through our Facebook and YouTube accounts for the membership to review. Those links will also be sent out with the minutes so that members are able to see. If there's anyone that is not able to attend, they can still see the training that we provided. We are going to be presenting in November that idea for that trial of member of the month, which will take place as a trial between January and May, and if it works, to be adopted at the convention.
That's great. Thank you, Crispin. Move on to trophies. Jim?
No report at this time.
All right. Competition? No report. Convention?
Everything's status quo right now.
Chief McCauley says everything is status quo for right now. I'll have a report next meeting. Nominating? No report.
No report.
Okay. Regional fire chiefs.
That's chief. If he's still there.
I think he's
Yeah, he's still there. Chief.
Chief Melanson, you got anything to add to the meeting?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I'll talk all day. A couple things. Niagara Regional Fire Chiefs have been meeting in person. We've had 2 meetings now. It was very good to get back together. There's a lot of new chiefs now. 4.5 years ago, I was at the bottom of the list as the newest chief. I think we figured out the other day that I'm number 4 on the list. So a lot has happened in a short period of time, which tends to happen in our world. But if you look at all the municipalities and their chiefs, there's a lot of new chiefs in place. So it's good to get together and start talking new ideas and fresh ideas. The OMFPOA Niagara branch met yesterday for the first time since COVID. It was a very good meeting talking about moving forward. They had a couple representatives there from the Alcohol Gaming Corporation. So a lot was spoke about there, specific to short-term. No, that's wrong. Temporary patios and licenses and what all this means in today's age. So that was very good and very interesting. So I thought that was very positive. A lot of committee meetings now where CBRN is meeting to deal with training and exercises for the regional CBRN team. I could go on, but the long and the short of it is we're becoming very busy again. We're starting to meet in person again, and that is really helping. And as you guys can imagine, and I know you're pining for it, meeting in person changes the entire dynamic of the meetings. So I am open to any questions if you have any about the region and what's going on.
Chief, would you like to host the November meeting?
November what?
26th, I believe.
I'm in. We got to figure out how many, because it's all going to come to occupancy, right?
Okay.
So you give me a number and I'll try to find a space that'll work for the number. If I give you a station, we'll be in trouble. So the most I think that I can do is 60.
Okay.
All right.
That would actually be November 25th.
But our stations are open and our associations are meeting, so we're not going to be breaking any rules by doing it. And so, yeah, we'll host. But we're going to have to come up with some sort of registration on who's coming. We'll have to go through the screening process, all that crap.
Okay.
But we're certainly in on doing it.
Is
Perfect.
there
Thank-
going to be, sorry, is there going to be a hybrid option where for those who might not be able to make it in person, or is it going to be like an option, whether it's like a virtual option? For
No, I
those who
think
can't-
I can set up for that. We certainly have the equipment to be able to do hybrid, so I don't think that that would be a big deal to be able to do that.
Okay, perfect.
That's Crispin if he's able to.
Crispin, is that something we can look at doing?
Yes, we can make that possible.
Perfect.
All right, then.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate that.
No worries.
Okay. Move on to credentials.
Can I add one thing? Sorry.
Absolutely.
If you guys are okay, no food, no alcohol, all right? We'll just meet and enjoy each other's company.
Yep, not a problem.
That'll stop all the handling of whatever and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Not a problem. Thank you.
Oh, you did say that.
Okay, we'll move on to credentials. Tonight we have 29 life members and 5 delegates for a total of 13 halls represented. And Niagara Falls 6 gets a silver helmet. Is there any unfinished business?
Crispin, the only outstanding we have is the member of the month items of association member of the month. How are we going to?
Yeah, that's going to be presented as a proposal for a trial between January and May at the next meeting. And if that trial works, we will have it presented to be adopted at our convention as to regular practice. So the terms of reference, how it will be done, will be presented at the November meeting. We'll collect in from November and December and make a presentation. Our executive will go through the submissions for a member of the month and then award that at the January meeting. But the terms in which we'll seek nominations through the month of December will come out at the November meeting.
Perfect.
The Public Relations Committee is still working on that between myself and Mandy.
Perfect. Thanks, Crispin. Okay. Is there any new business? Okay, having seen none. Are there any announcements? Yes, we just, Niagara Falls Station 6 has their turkey raffle on November 18th. Tickets are still available for $5. Reach out to Donnie or myself or Jim McKinney for tickets. Sorry, it's November 19th. Okay, if there's nothing else, our next meeting will be in Fort Erie
Okay, the average.
on Thursday, November 25th. What's that, Chief?
Oh, we might have 50 people. Just tell Ed. and then-
Chief Melanson, Donnie's saying we might have about 50 people in attendance.
Okay, we'll do station 2 then.
Station 2, okay.
The Central Avenue station.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Michelle McCullen, Niagara Falls 6.
Seconder,
I'll second it. Mike McKinney, Niagara Falls 6.
okay, thank you very much. All those in favor? Motion's
Thank you.
carried. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a little torture with me in my first meeting, but thanks for bearing with me.
You did a good job.